Right, okay, so we are recording. It's good to see everyone here. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Rebecca, for joining me on this session, this Q&A. How's things? All right?
Very
Very
good.
good.
Yes, I've got my coffee ready.
Likewise.
Good. I'm glad to see Lee's got the memo. We got the email about purple waistcoats today. So
I
Missed that
sent the
one.
memo. That's why.
yeah, I don't know how we do it, but we've been working together for far too long.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, okay. Thanks for everyone who's joined us. No one else wants to know about our joining of forces and waistcoats and stuff. So we've had a number of questions that have been sent in to us. For anyone who's fresh to this, new to this, this is a live Q&A for people who are here, and for everyone else, we will make this available for you to play to get on catch up. But we've had a few questions which I am going to go through. So these are going to be questions that Lee, Rebecca, and myself are going to answer as best as we can. We'll try and get through as many as we can. What I would say to those who are here on the call, if you've got any other questions, if anything we say brings up anything else, feel free to put that into the chat. Give us a thumbs up when I ask if we're okay to move on. If I see any kind of wavering, then we'll stay on that topic. But yeah, we will just dive straight in. And let's have a look at the first question that was sent. So this is quite a broad one, actually. What would we see is the single biggest cyber risk ordinary people face every day? Who would like to go first? What's the biggest risk that people, ordinary people, as opposed to unordinary people, but anyway, ordinary people. So not technical, not cybersecurity people, I guess.
Um, it, try and word this. I feel like it's the legitimacy. If you get a call from your bank, how do you know it's your bank? It
Mm,
only becomes real when you get into the context of what they're asking for, i.e., I'm from the fraud department, we've noticed some strange activity. We're going to need to move all of your money. We need to get into your account. It's like, well, surely, putting it all together now, if you're from my fraud department, you have my account, and therefore you should be able to act on this. But there are so many calls coming in from various authorities that, yeah, I think this is one of the biggest risks. I don't think there is a single
Mm.
big risk to anyone. I just
mm,
think there's just too many.
yeah.
I, I, I think a lot of them are those too good to be true offers that you get online, especially on social media. You click on all sorts of offers, shopping channels on Facebook. You just don't know where you're going, what's real, what's safe.
Yeah, so bringing both of those things together then, could you encapsulate all of that is just the sheer variety of threats. It's so you're right. There is no one single thing, is there? Like you said, those opportunities are coming through the too good to be true type offers, and then, like Lee said, it's that you get a phone call from someone who purports to be from your bank or from the hospital or whatever, and it's then being able to, in our language, authenticate them and make sure that they are the real people that we're meant to be speaking to.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's
It goes further as well, doesn't it? How do you know what's real these days? I mean, you're reading things online.
yeah.
You're probably basing your opinions and even sometimes your actions on what you're reading. But how can you be
Mm,
sure it's real and it's not misinformation? I mean, I get this a lot from friends. They're like, is this real? Is this AI? Is this a true story? Everyone's
mm.
no one's certain anymore.
So can we bring all that? I really don't like this phrase, but it comes under fake news, isn't it? It's
Mm.
the fakes. The biggest risk is scammers and fake news, fake information, misinformation. I mean, that's been around for forever, but like that what you've just described there, Rebecca, is that the AI, the way that it's being used now, and we're being tricked into believing either new stories or certain celebs are promoting one product or another. I think, I don't know where I heard this, and I could be wrong. Someone on the internet will correct us, but I think, do you know who the most faked or AI deep fake image is of, or fake video? Do you know who it is?
I'm gonna go with
I think this is a UK
Donald
thing.
Trump. Oh, okay.
I would say it's a
UK
UK thing.
only.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's a UK because that's where I heard it be reported. But yeah, I'll tell you it is. It's Martin Lewis. You know, the finance guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that
it's
makes sense.
yeah. So apparently, he's the deep fakes of him giving financial advice. Obviously, cryptocurrency and all the rest of it is prevalent, and it's just like wildfire.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he was number one on the fake AI, deep fake stuff recently. That might change tomorrow. Who knows? Might have changed in the last hour. But yeah, so that's the answer to the question. It's a great question. It's a big one to start with.
Did we answer it? I think we just created more questions out of it. I mean,
Well, I think we did. I think the biggest cyber risk ordinary people face is the sheer magnitude of scams and fake news that's out there. And the answer to that, the antidote to that is education and taking a step back, isn't it? It's taking a step back from that email that you receive or that phone call and thinking, hang on a minute, pause for a thought. Is this real? Is this likely to be real? What am I being asked? And does this sound legitimate? Does it sound right? And to quote Rebecca, if it feels too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah, I think you almost got to retrain yourself, haven't you, to
Mm,
take that pause, but not to take anything at face value and to go and do a bit more research, go to legitimate sources, for example, for news, and just double check the facts before
yeah.
acting.
Or even just check with your mates, check with your friends, check with your colleagues, check with someone in authority. I think if you get that phone call from the bank or who says that from the bank, is hang up, call them on the number that you would normally call them on, and verify.
Yeah, don't redial the number that's phoned you.
No,
Absolutely not. Go
no,
look at the back of your credit card, debit card. The numbers are all there.
yeah, and it is that to Rebecca's point, actually, retraining yourself, it's rethinking, isn't it? And coming at everything with a bit of a skeptical mind. So yeah, I think we've answered that question. I'm sure if people in the chat, just check the chat. If anyone disagrees and anyone's got any other questions on that, I'm sure they'll put them into the chat as well. But just looking, yeah, we've got thumbs up, so it's all good. We can move on because the next one's another doozy. This one's going a little bit more practical. So we keep hearing use strong passwords, but what does that mean? Do they need to come up with 47 jumbled up characters and remember them, giving the amount of passwords that we have to store these days? So what does it mean to use strong passwords?
Definitely not the 47 characters. I can think of several people I know that would not cope with that at all. I like a passphrase rather than a password.
Yeah. And just for the benefit of people watching, listening, a passphrase, can you give an example of a good passphrase?
Put me on the spot. Something really, the words don't go together. So orange box 7. Yeah, something
Okay.
really nonsensical that doesn't mean anything to you. We've got another question off the back of this.
Oh, okay.
And I wouldn't name the person I'm thinking of here, but how do we feel about actual password books, physical books that people keep passwords in?
So my view is on this one is that not passwords, everything about security is risk. It's all about levels of risk. And people share passwords all the time. They create one passphrase, example that you've just given there. And they'll use it time and time again. Much better for them to have several different passwords in several different places. If you are going to write them down, put them in a book and store that book somewhere very secure. Don't carry it around with you. Because it's the levels of risk, the likelihood of someone hacking into your system or into your email account because you've reused the same password in 50, 60, 70 different places is far higher than someone breaking into your house, finding your little password book that you've hidden in a drawer somewhere that only you know where it is. I think the risk of that is much lower versus the risk of them of your password that you've reused in multiple different places. So that's my take on it. Unpopular in many circles because I'm advocating, write them down. If you've reached an age where your memory's starting to fail you, then write them down, have them in a little book. So that's my thoughts. Lee?
Yeah, I think we skirted around it because I think the question itself is missing a word, which is unique. Making your passwords unique. We have talked about it ourselves. And I know you've mentioned it a few times as you were talking there, Gary. It's having different password for everything. It's not the same password for Amazon. It's not the same password for your banks. Everything is different. And like you, it kind of grates on me to say it, but if you need to write them down, write them down. I've been through it kind of recently that when my father passed, we didn't have access to his accounts. And we literally were scouring the house, finding slips of paper where he'd written what was clearly a jumble of letters and then using those to see if any of those were his passwords. We had some successes, but it has become problematic. So if you have reached that kind of age where you've got, like me, 300 plus passwords for different systems and multiple banks and everything, someone will need ongoing access to them. But if you can, use a password manager. There's a few out there.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Is just to anyone watching and listening is go and Google the best password managers and they'll give you a list of the top 10 at the moment because it changes, doesn't it? But I think you're right. A password manager, a password vault, as they're also referred to, I think is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But unique passwords. I think that's the thing. So we keep hearing use strong passwords. I think passphrases, unique passwords, and if you have to write them down, but just protect that. It's again, we've seen it, and I know we've seen it in recent times with people writing passwords into, say, a Word document or in spreadsheets, and then that document is called passwords, and you think, probably best not to do that. You know, if you are going to have a file that says passwords, maybe not have one that says this is my list of passwords on it or something like that. But you've raised a much bigger question, and I genuinely don't want to go down this route, but it's one for later at some point, because we've got quite a few questions now come through. Is you know, when people do reach end of life in this modern era, you'll have got a massive digital footprint. You'll have logons to bank accounts, you'll have logons to social media accounts, and all of those things. And I know people, it's an unsavory topic, and people don't, you know, shy away from this, but it is something that we need to think about. How do you gain access into someone's digital life when they pass away?
Sounds like a good idea
100%.
for a blog.
Yeah, it's
One I keep trying to write, I just can't finish it at the moment.
yeah, it's a tough one to have, but this is the place for it. If you know, and it's something that people don't like to face, but it is a topic that you have to think about. I could certainly give personal experiences of people passing away suddenly, and people wanting to gain access to their private messages, or you know, to find out about how and why they passed away. And you kind of look at that and you say, well, these big social media companies have rules around this type of thing now, and it's a big topic. But yeah. Anyway, keeping it light.
Yeah, moving swiftly on.
Sorry to take it down that. I'm just checking to make sure we've still got people and no one's actually run away now due to this conversation. Okay. Actually, this is actually going back to, so someone's asked, I think, another question based on what we were talking about earlier here. So scammers are getting cleverer. Is there a quick way to tell if someone's trying to trick us? I mean,
Kind of. Often it's the urgency of a situation, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
I need, yeah, you need to send me 10,000 now. We get it in businesses. The head of finance is suddenly, yeah, I need you to sign to release funds for 10,000. It has to happen this afternoon in the next 30 minutes. And you've got to ask yourself why? Why do I need to do this? And kind of comes back to what I was saying earlier, is if your bank is phoning you asking now for your logon details into your account, they can already see your account. Things like that passcode that they're using is simply for them to validate who you are, which brings up an interesting point, is does anyone have a passphrase with their bank to validate who they are?
Fair point.
yes, a fair point. Yeah.
You phone me from the bank, I'm going to hang up. I wasn't expecting the call. But if it's legitimate, what am I supposed to do? So phishing scams, for me, it's the urgency.
Yeah, I
It's
think.
always,
Sorry, Becca, go
so
on.
there's always a consequence, isn't there? It's tied to that urgency, but they always put some sort of consequence in there that makes you
Yeah,
worry.
yeah,
Play on some sort of fear, don't they? Something's going to be lost. Some awful thing's going to happen if you don't act.
yeah. We're going to come and
I guess,
repossess your car, or
yeah.
if you don't pay this fine in the next 24 hours, we're going to come and repossess your car, or you're going to whatever.
I guess the quickest way to tell if it's a scam is to verify.
Mm,
Go to the source that they're purporting to be and verify.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's that is it. I think, and again, it's that slowing down, isn't it? And we know that scammers are using our emotions against us, that fear that you mentioned earlier, and almost, let's say, greed when it comes to this offer is too good to be true, is and I know this sounds really trite, but we see this a lot, which is you see these people saying or sharing online where it's like, you know, Mark Zuckerberg's going to be giving £1 million out to the first 2,000 people who do such and such, and you're like, really? Do you think Mark Zuckerberg's really going to give you £1 million? Now, although I kind of scoff at that, I am always at pains to remind people that the reason that these scammers do those sorts of things is because it works. They wouldn't do it if it didn't work. But for us educated people, the people listening, watching, you know, you guys, we kind of see something like that and we just think, well, that's crazy. Why would anyone fall for that? And this kind of comes back to some of the earlier conversation, which is because people aren't educated to it. And whether that's younger people or older people, they're just not alive to these particular risks. But it comes down to that that quick way to find out if someone's trying to trick you is there some emotional trigger that they're trying to prompt from you? So like Lee was saying, the urgency, you've got to do this in the next 2 hours, otherwise, and then, you know, that fear, because otherwise, like as you said, Rebecca, otherwise we're going to send the police around, or you're going to lose all your, you know, your valuables or whatever it might be. So yeah, just look for the human emotion that's within the call or whatever. And as you say, you know, one way to prevent that is to verify it, I suppose.
Yeah, I think the other thing to be careful of or to pay attention to is your gut, that gut feel. How many times do these scammers get through to an individual and afterwards the individual says, I knew something wasn't right, and yet they carried on. So that, you know, if you think something's not right, stop, hang up, disengage from the social media conversation, whatever it is that's happening, disconnect yourself from that environment.
Yeah. No, great advice. Yeah, great advice. Just check the chat. Yeah, we're all good. If anyone wants any follow-up, has any of the follow-up questions to that, feel free to put them in the chat. That's cool. Okay. So the next question I've got takes the conversation again. This isn't a work-related one as such, but you could use it in a work context, most definitely. But, you know, we did say to people, you don't have to come with work-related questions. And this is a topic around oversharing and sharing too much. We say it quite regularly, don't overshare online and such. So this is the question. We all love sharing holidays, dinners, and pictures of our workouts, etc. But what's the one thing we should never overshare? And is there such a thing as oversharing? So there you go. How can we share things online? What shouldn't we be sharing online? What should we
For me, and I know a few people that do this, it's those countdowns to holiday. I've got no issue with you sharing your holiday photos. I love to see where people have gone. Gives me ideas of where I might want to go or where I might not want to go. But if you are a month before, I've got 4 weeks to go before my holiday. I've got 3 weeks to go before my holiday. I've got one day to, really, you are announcing to everyone, including the criminal fraternity, that your location, your address, your home is going to be free, and then we can see the posts. We know where you're going to be. Now, that's assuming someone's already watching you and tracking and know you and know where you're going to be. And the flip side of this is fitness trackers, where you go for a run and it's recording your run.
Yeah.
And it's recording the start and end point. And most people start outside their house and go off running and come back. And this information is there. And just to caveat that, if you are one of these people, if you're using Strava and that, you can set up what's called a geofence, which says that this circular environment around wherever I'm going to start, or you can just tell it, always hide the start and end. It doesn't matter if I go to a park and start running there, it will always hide the start and end points, and you can set that range. So yeah, that's it for me. The holidays is probably the worst one.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Rebecca, what's your thoughts? Any
I
different
think it
ones?
comes yeah, any personal details. I'm really, really cautious with social media. I think the recent spate of kids' first days at school,
Kids'
you
first days at
know,
school, yeah.
know where the kids are going to school, the uniforms are on, the badges are on. I think oversharing things about your kids makes me uncomfortable, but I think it's more about who are you sharing it with.
Mm,
I know that I have a couple of friends on Facebook who have apparently hundreds and hundreds of friends.
yeah,
Really? Are they really all your genuine friends that you're sharing this with?
yeah.
Um, so it's thinking about who are you actually sharing this with? What are your privacy settings? Who's actually seeing this?
Mm. Yeah, I think it's a really good point. Well, you both make excellent points, and there's loads we can add to it. But I think from a practical advice point of view, go and check your privacy settings because Rebecca, you're absolutely right. When people say, "Well, I'm proud of my daughter, my son, my granddaughter, my grandson, whatever," you go, "Yeah, I understand that." But how many friends have you got on Facebook? How many connections? Well, I've got 400, 500. It's like, would you would you invite 400 of those 400 people into your home and tell them the most intimate details of your family life? And would you invite them in to see the photographs of your kids and running around the garden, and just you would you do that? And if you are going to say, well, yeah, but I do know my friends, I've got quite a tight group, I've only got 100 people on there. Like, well, just check your security settings because you just don't know who else you're letting in. And if you tag someone, then they can share that image themselves. So they may want to share that with their friends, and they may have thousands of people that you've no idea who they are. So again, this sounds a little bit woo-woo, actually. Woo-woo, if you've heard that phrase. But we all talk about mindfulness, and it's a thing, about mental health and mindfulness. Well, here's one tip. Just share mindfully. Think about what it is you're posting and why you're posting it. And check your security settings. I think that is something you've absolutely got to do. Lee, what you just said there about the holidays, I mean, that's a personal bugbear of mine, is that checking in at the airport on my way to, you know, Sao Paulo, you're like, oh, okay, I know where you're going now, right? Okay. Or, just off on my the latest business trip, flying off to so and so place. And there's two things. One is go and check your home insurance because your home insurance may be invalidated. Because if you've posted on there that you're going on holiday and then suddenly you're burgled, the home insurance company may come and say, well, you didn't take proper care of your property. You alerted the world to let them know that you're not in your property. But the second thing is, and this takes it into a business realm, is because you said it earlier, Lee, that this is assuming people are going to target you. Well, if I want to go and attack a company, I'm going to go and check their website, find out who their CFO is or their CEO is. I'm going to go and check on social media. I'll go and check on LinkedIn. I'll go and check on Instagram. I'll go and see what they put up on X. I'll go and see what they put up on Facebook. And if I see come up on X going, oh, it's a 4 a.m. wake up for me tomorrow because I'm in the gym at 4:30 and then I'm off on my flight to Sao Paulo. You're like, okay, so I know you're going to be on a plane around about this time. No one's going to be able to contact you. And then you go back to the previous thing about scams. Now I can phone the CFO and just say, oh, yeah, Lee Scory. Yeah, I know he's on a holiday at the moment. He spoke to me just not 10 minutes before he got on his flight to Sao Paulo. I've gathered all that information from social media. So that's how scammers work. That's how it all operates. And I think that sharing of holiday pictures, do it when you get back.
Yeah.
you don't have to tell people, you don't have to give people a running commentary. As much as you are the center of your universe, dare I say it, you're not the center of everyone's. So, you know,
Yeah.
I know, I mean, I'm hoping I'm not lost anyone by saying that, because these are the harsh realities is, you know, you don't have to document your life, you know, unless you're Taylor Swift. There's not many people that are interested. Just go on your holiday, enjoy it, take loads of pictures, and then when you get back, post them then.
There's there's a work side to this as well in terms of sharing, isn't there? I've had a situation many years ago where I worked for a company that would share photos of its employees on its social media just willy-nilly, you know. And there was a member of staff that really didn't want to be in those photos for past history. She didn't want anyone to know where she worked, you know, it would have put her at risk. There was no thought by the company about that. They were just photos out there, you know, Macmillan coffee morning, etc., etc. So you've got to think about it in a work context as well.
Really good point. Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, we all talk about, I mean, clearly the question here is about sharing holidays and dinners and such like, but you're right. It is that we've got to do it mindfully and you know, very conscientiously and think about what the ramifications are and get everyone's buy-in. And if someone does say, look, I'd rather not have my pictures up on the LinkedIn pages or whatever for those reasons, and no one has to justify it, I think that's what you have to do. But the advice is to think about it. Again, it comes back to that. Just take a pause for a moment, think about what it is you're posting and why. Okay. So I'm going to actually stay on that topic because you know, we talked a bit here about personal things. And one of the questions that I've just seen come through is about business risks. So we are going to talk about this. So someone's come through and asked this question. I run a small business with no IT department. Where should I even start? Where do they even start with cybersecurity, info security? They run a small business with no IT department. Any thoughts? I mean, I've got, shall I start? I am going to start by getting on my soapbox. It's not very tall, so my height's not going to change much. But just remember that information security is not just for the IT department. It's much broader than that. It's physical documents that you've got as well. Think about security of non-physical media. So when you're on a train, if you're on the phone, those sorts of things. So I'm going to say that where do you start? You start by recognizing that information exists both in digital devices and in physical and ethereal forms as well. So you have to start thinking broader. So yeah, and then let's focus on some of the technical side of things. What advice would we give to someone who's running a small business and they just want to make sure that they are secure?
I think from that side, certainly in our world, in the business world, we will issue policies. So we'll issue acceptable use policies. What constitutes acceptable use in your business? You need to define that. And I've been in some businesses and I've asked the CEO, do you allow access to Facebook on your systems? And his response was categorically no. And I had to point out that there were several junior staff happily logged into their accounts. So there was no technical stoppage to that, but at the same time, they hadn't informed people. You've got children coming out of schools where they have their phone on 24/7, chatting to their mates, checking Facebook, Instagram, all sorts of social media, but no one's redefining those rules when they go into the workplace. There's an acceptance on their part that they're just allowed to continue doing everything that they were doing before.
Yeah.
So,
So
so writing a policy and taking staff through it. This is what you're allowed to do. This is what you're not allowed to do. Even in any doubt, talk to the manager or come and talk to me as the owner of the business if it's that small.
yeah, and I think the important thing there is, whilst when people talk about policies and such, it's you're just simply setting your expectations, right? It doesn't have to be lengthy, it doesn't have to be full of legalese. It's just, this is what we expect of people who work here. We expect people, most people will say, well, you hire someone, and you say, right, we expect you to be here at 9 o'clock in the morning. We expect you to conduct yourself in this manner. And I think you're right. It's just about setting some clear expectations, writing it down, and then taking people through it. Rebecca, what's your thoughts around this? They run a small business with no IT department. Where should I even start?
I think I'd be advising them to take stock first, to just stop and think about what they have and what it is they're trying to protect. And those 5 Ps that we all use in risk management quite a lot. Think about your people, premises you're protecting, your PCs, providers, and your processes, and maybe even just take one at a time. What do we have? And then look at the practical things you can put in place, or the policy management you can put in place for each area. I think you've got to know what you're protecting, what you've got. And a lot of companies don't. You go to a company and say, let's see what assets you've got. And they're like, oh, God, I'll have to make a list. I think maybe that's a good starting point.
I think it's a really good idea. Yeah, absolutely. Because that very much that's the forerunner to what Lee said there about the acceptable use policy, is that once you understand what you've got, then you can say, right, the acceptable use of this particular asset, the PC, is this. The acceptable use of our office is the following, So I think, I think it's a really good point. You can't protect what you don't understand. I think that's the mantra that we have, we trot out quite regularly. Yeah. Were you going to say something else? Was there something else you're going to add to that?
I just noticed like everything we've covered today has kind of come back to mindfulness and taking that pause and stopping and thinking, which seems a little ironic because today's world's faster than ever. And you're inundated and you're pushed, and you're drowning in information every second of the day. And yet now more than ever, you've got to disengage from that and stop and pause and think. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is. I think that is a challenge, but I think you're absolutely right. Actually, it's funny now you mention it. You're absolutely right that we're saying people they need to slow down. Yeah, I would agree. I'm going to give this person another piece of advice as well. They run a small business, and they've not said what they do. They just said small business. This is advice to anyone who runs a small business, is just make sure, step one, make sure you're registered with the ICO, the Information Commissioner's Office. All too often we have conversations with businesses who've been running very successfully for a number of years, and they've employed lots of people, and you mention the ICO to them and they kind of look a little bit perplexed and say, what's the ICO? So I think step one, day one, if you run a small business, make sure that you are registered with the Information Commissioner's Office. And I know this is not going to be very popular, but go and take a look at Article 5 of GDPR, or the Data Protection Act. Have a look at what those 7 principles, if you include the principle of accountability, go and take a look at what those principles are, and then just ask yourself, how do I comply with each one of those principles? And you can Google it. Just go Google Article 5 GDPR or Article 5 Data Protection Act, and you'll get the information you need, I think. Lee, on this particular one, because I'm very conscious that the person did say no IT department, so they are looking for some very specific IT stuff. So can you just mention 3 or 4 in your mind? What are the must-haves for anyone who's got a small business and they have no IT support of any kind? And I'm going to throw one in just because I'm just going to throw it in to give you a little bit of a taste of what I mean. Make sure you back up your data. You've got to go again. Google is your friend. Go on Google, how do I back up my data? And that for me is the one bit of practical advice that we can give to this person to go and make sure they have a backup process. Yeah, so what would you say? And Rebecca, if you've got any that you'd like to throw in as well, go for it. But
My other favorite for small businesses, so this is someone who's been doing some sort of work for a number of years for another company and has gone off on their own and now set themselves up. So they're doing it as cheap as they possibly can, which means they're using the home PC, the PC that their children have access to, the one that they download and access Facebook on. So if you're in that situation, set up another user account on that machine that does not have admin control, and it's set up for your business. So you're operating within a known secure environment. It is not a password that you should share with your children. Sorry, you just shouldn't. They don't need access to that. Why would they? This is your business that you're now starting to run.
Great
So that's
advice.
another critical piece of advice. Yeah, backups. There's a lot of cloud facilities out there that will back up your Microsoft environment. Flip side of that is restores. It's all very well to back up your data, but at the time you need it, can you rely on it? So
Good point. Rebecca, what do you think? Is there any practical things that a small business should be doing?
Get your updates under control. Don't ignore them. I know they're annoying. They always come at the wrong time.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep all your software updated and properly patched.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think that's great advice. Perfect. Well, I'm very conscious of time, and I'm not going to ask any other questions. We've got a couple more, but they'll have to wait until next week. So yeah, we'll cover those off because there's some really interesting ones. Well, they've all been interesting. But yeah, I think Rebecca, you summed it up really well earlier. You were saying there that everything we talked about was kind of led back to more of the human aspects of information security, and that slowing down, thinking about what you're posting, thinking about who you're interacting with, thinking about, is this email legitimate? That kind of all comes back to actually this the glimmer of hope we're going to give to anyone just watching this and listening is that it's not all the things that you need to do are technical. It's just about applying a little bit of thought and a little bit of consideration around it. That's my thoughts anyway. Thoughts, Rebecca, Lee, what did you think of the questions? I mean, this is first one that we've run here and there's some doozies.
I like the fact they're not all work.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And they're quite challenging questions. I like it. So thank you for the questions that we've had. So we'll continue the conversation. We're going to let everyone else go. So I'm going to end the call for everyone else, and us three will continue because there's some interesting questions I'd like your thoughts on before we tackle them next week. For the benefit of people who are watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. Do give this a like. Remember to hit the bell in the corner so that you get reminded of any new videos that we're going to post. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments on some of the things that we've said. Maybe you've got different thoughts and views on this. But until next time, stay well, stay safe, and stay connected. Thanks, guys. Let's carry on our conversation.